What's going on, everyone? It's Gendo here, and welcome back to the FM Scout YouTube page, where today we're going to see how Zinedine Zidane gets on as French national team manager. Zidane has been considered a legend of the game long before taking over as Real Madrid manager. He won a Champions League with that Real Madrid side back in 2002, and in the French national team, he's also considered a French legend, winning a World Cup in '98 and a European Championship in 2000 before unfortunately seeing himself sent off with a red card for headbutting another player, thus ending his career on a little bit of a low note. But today we're going to see how Zidane gets on taking on that role, the mantle of the French national team, a team that he has done so well for in the past, and can he lead them back to glory? But before we get to the experiment, I'd like to send you over to my page, Gendo FM, where I'm currently running an Athletic Bilbao save, trying to get the Basque boys to both domestic and international prominence. Please go and check that out once the episode is over. So I'm setting this experiment up much like with how I did it with Eddie Howe. I simulated to the start of the 2017-18 season and then removed Didier Deschamps using the editor and then putting in Zinedine Zidane in his place as French manager. As you can clearly see up here, he is French manager. And if you haven't seen Zinedine's stats before, here's what his screen looks like. And overall, not a bad coach whatsoever. 19-man management, 16 mentals, 16 technical ability. The tactics is a little lacking, especially on the mental side, where he has an 11 with tactical knowledge, but he does have a bevy of coaches around him that can easily help him out, much like with Eddie Howe did. 16 motivating as well, 16 determination, more of an attacking-minded coach that just plays into his old playing days as an attacking midfielder. He's got a 12 there. Likes to play a 4-1-2-3 defensive mid-wide. It's essentially a 4-3-3 style with a striker and two wingers that plays an inside forward. That is the style that he uses at Real Madrid. It also doesn't look like he's consistent in playing style or mentality. He likes to switch it up. He likes to stay fairly balanced. So once again, that is back to let's see how well he can use this with the French national team, which is traditionally known as a very attacking-minded team. So that being said, let's take a look at how France has been getting on in the 2016 World Cup qualifiers, the 2018 World Cup qualifiers, and see how Didier Deschamps left the group. Apparently, they had a group with Luxembourg and Sweden, Holland and Bulgaria, and Belarus. Let's take a look and see how they've been getting on. Currently, they're sitting in second place in their World Cup qualifying group, 3 points behind Holland with 4 matches left to go. If they stay in that spot, and it looks like they are 6 points clear of Sweden, they are going to get themselves into the World Cup. So, much like with what I did with Eddie Howe, let's take a look and see how well they did in the 4 sections, the World Cup qualifiers, the World Cup proper, the Euro qualifiers, and the European Championships themselves. So, let's fast forward to the end of the World Cup qualifiers and see if France was able to get out of their group. So when we move ahead 3 short months and it's the end of the World Cup qualifiers, let's take a look and see how France did. And it looks like they were able to pip Holland at the end by 1 point, winning or at least going undefeated the rest of the way in an 8-1-1 overall record. Let's take a look and see what France had as far as a team. And so we can use this as a baseline going forward for the rest of the World Cup as well as the European Championships. So it looks like the goalkeepers he used were Mandanda, Lloris, and Areola. Defensively, he's got Sidibe, Umtiti, Koscielny, Varane, Laporte, Gonalons, Tolisso, Lucas Digne, Benjamin Mendy. Midfielders in Matuidi, Nzonzi, Kante, Koeman, Dembele, Martial, Griezmann. Okay, now we're getting up into the attacking mids. Paul Pogba, Dimitri Payet, Kevin Gamero, and Olivier Giroud. That is a really stacked lineup for France. And if this is a base lineup, if this is a very healthy base lineup, then I can very well see France winning not just the World Cup, but the Euros. So with that being said, let's take a look and see how France does in the World Cup and see if Zinedine Zidane has the bottle to win one as a manager with this core group of players that he has. And so it's now the 16th of July, 2018, and it says that Spain win the World Cup, but if you read the little byline underneath, it says Spain won it over France. So France was able to make the World Cup final underneath Zinedine Zidane, but they just were not able to reach the pinnacle. They weren't able to go ahead and past the final hurdle. And what I'm taking a look at right here is that France absolutely got jobbed out of this match, losing 1-0, Benzema missing a penalty. But just take a look at the stats. 23 shots, 6 on target, almost 60% possession. France absolutely dominated this match, but they just were not able to get it past David De Gea, saving every single shot that France put on target. That is extremely unfortunate. Let's take a look at the lineups that they used for this final match. They had Lloris, Apia, Koscielny, Umtiti, Digne, Kanté, Rabiot, Pogba, Dembele, Griezmann, and Benzema as their starting 11. Taking a look at their bench, Mandanda, Laporte, Matuidi, Martial, Lamar, Varane, Koeman, Gonalons, Giroud, Mendy, Sidibe, and Ruffier. A very stacked lineup, and taking a look at that initially, I thought that France had the ability and had the team to win the World Cup. Unfortunately, they came across David De Gea, who was able to stop every shot that was put in front of him, and ultimately coming away with absolutely nothing. Let's take a look and see how they got to the World Cup final. Let's take a look at see who they originally had in the group. Colombia, Norway, and Iran going undefeated there. That's a very easy group for them. In the round of 16, they took on Ivory Coast, a 3-1 win there, beating England in the quarterfinals 2-0 in extra time. Matuidi and Griezmann scoring there. Very unfortunate for England there, but it looks like France just completely ran a train on them throughout the entirety of the match. Against Portugal, they beat them by the score of 3-0, leading up to the Spain loss in the World Cup final. Man, that's just very unfortunate. After blowing teams out, completely dispossessing the opposing side, taking so many more shots than their opponents, coming across Spain and doing exactly that and not winning is just absolutely debilitating and very unfortunate. So we fast forward well over a year. It's the 20th of November, 2019. Let's take a look and see if Zidane is in fact still French manager. He is, and I'm starting to see a few growth spurts in his coaching and mental attributes. So he's continuing to develop and grow even as French national team manager. But if he's still French national team manager, that means one thing, and that is he got the team to the European Championships. And let's take a look and see how he got there. He had himself a group of Scotland, Ireland, Hungary, and the Faroe Islands. That should have been a very, very easy group. He almost went undefeated. He got himself only one draw, and that was against Hungary, a 2-all draw. Very, very curious, but he was able to see himself through into the 2020 Euros, topping the group, I'm sure. He was in Group F. Yeah, there he is. So France and Ireland coming out of that group. Like I said, a very easy group. Should have easily gotten himself through. And let's take a look and see what players he has, or he had, for this final match. I already noticed a couple of changes in that Albin Lafont has been called up to the French national team, the young wonder kid who was at Toulouse, and apparently he's at Monaco right now in game, 20 years old, a wonder kid goalkeeper, finally seen himself get called up to the national team. Also, Presnel Kimpembe, I've honestly never heard of this man before. Somebody that I didn't think that would have been playing, and actually around the start of the game, he doesn't have a lot of play time, but looks like PSG is starting to use him more and more. Morgan Schneiderlin has been called up to the French side. Very interesting choice, but depending on the team that France was facing, I can completely understand that. Going further and further down, Thomas Lemar has been called up, and Lacazette, Alexander Lacazette, has in fact been called up, and he's currently playing at Liverpool, which is very peculiar. So it looks like the French train shows no signs of slowing down underneath the head of Zinedine Zidane, picking players that can easily get the job done, and they're back in another international tournament. They've only lost once underneath his management. That was, of course, the World Cup final. Let's take a look and see how the 2020 Euros gets along, and can Zidane win an international trophy as manager? So it is now the 13th of July, 2020, and the major news story is that Zinedine Zidane has quit the French national team job. That is very peculiar. It didn't say that he was sacked, it just said that he quit, meaning that the French national team didn't do as well as he wanted it to. Take a look at his achievements. He just resigns as French manager. So, and I'm taking a look at this right here as we look at the overall. Knocked out by Portugal in the quarterfinals of the Euros. That is very unfortunate. Not as far as he would have wanted to go in the first place. Let's take a look at these fixtures. But yeah, a 1-0 defeat in extra time to Portugal. Zé Gomez in the 6th minute of extra time, getting them the 1-0 lead. And once again, it was all France taking the shots, 18 with 9 on target. They didn't have as much possession as they did versus Spain and pretty much throughout the entirety of that World Cup. But France taking all these shots and barely any going through. That's just a testament to how deep that defensive line for Portugal was and how well Rui Patricio was in between the sticks. That being said, what type of lineup did Zinedine Zidane put forth in this Portugal match? He had Lloris in net, Sidibe, Laporte, Umtiti, and Kimpembe along the back line. Tolisso, Kante, Pogba in the middle. Dembele, Koeman, and Martial sitting up front. That's, once again, not a bad lineup, but it just didn't get the job done on the day. And I'm taking a look throughout the rest of the lineup, and it looks like between qualifications and now, Mamadou Sakho and Anthony Mezenal have been called up, and then Mezenal is a goalkeeper, but yeah, Mamadou Sakho coming in as one of the midfield defensive replacements. But let's take a look and see how France did in the rest of the competition, and they 9-pointed their group. It was Cyprus, Czech Republic, and England, and they completely blasted through that group, scoring 9, only giving up 1 to Cyprus. Moving on, in the second round, they took on Serbia, beating them by the score of 2-1. And then, yeah, just getting knocked out very unfortunately, unceremoniously by a Portugal side that honestly did not look the better side on the day. And that was, unfortunately, what led to Zinedine Zidane just quitting the job. And apparently Arsene Wenger is the favorite to be taking over that post, which is very strange and very peculiar in and of itself that Wenger is still managing in 2020. But yeah, it looks like overall Zinedine Zidane could be a guy that can take over the French national team job and do as well, if not better, than what Didier Deschamps is doing right now, and hell, could potentially lead them to a prominent international trophy, be it a Euro or a World Cup down the line. What do you guys think about this experiment? Please leave it in the comment box below, as well as suggestions on what you would like to see on the channel going forward. Don't forget to like, share, and subscribe to the FM Scout YouTube page, as well as also checking out the FM Scout website. They have a host of information at your fingertips, whether it's about tactics, whether it's about teams, wonder kids, or other players, or if you just want to have additional stuff added into your game, like kits, logo packs, and face packs, which I certainly use in my game, and I highly recommend it. But anyway, guys, I hope you enjoyed the video. This has been Gendo, and I'll see you next time. Take care, and peace out.